in the end.
The story of Dead or Alive Xtreme 3 is a very sad one. A spin-off franchise that had its prominent day during the 6th and 7th gen consoles for Microsoft makes its grand return in the 8th generation, only to not only not end up on any Microsoft platforms, but not even get a proper Western release due to unfair reasons and people making it seem way worse than it was. How did we get to this point? Let me back up a bit and explain. You see, Microsoft never had the strongest foothold in Japan with the original Xbox. This was an American company treading on not just foreign soil, but two of the biggest giants for gaming from Japan, Sony and Nintendo. And that didn't stop Microsoft from trying their hardest to win over Japanese audiences. Even if, to quote Alex Navarro, that is an American console, damn it. The S controller was made specifically for the Japanese market to accommodate smaller hands. Certain Japanese developers made major games for the system, specifically Tecmo, Sega, Capcom, and From Software. And there were even certain special editions only available in Japan. There was a skeleton/smoke black edition, a pure white edition with the option to engrave up to 20 letters, a bathing ape edition, and there were two tie-in ones related to games, a Panzer Dragoon Orta edition, and a Kasumi-chan Blue version to celebrate the release of, well, Dead or Alive Ultimate. Hell, there were even some exclusive games only released in Japan. I already reviewed Metal Wolf Chaos before that got freed from its Japan-only prison, but also Castle Shikigami 1 and 2 got Japanese Xbox ports. Same with Puyo Puyo Fever, though that also got ported in Europe. Hell, there was even an exclusive Shin Megami Tensei game for the Xbox, Shin Megami Tensei 9, and a spiritual successor to the Dreamcast game She-Man, where you use the Xbox communicator, but it was an Android, and it was called Natural Ultimate Digital Experiment, or, well, you can probably figure out the acronym. Hell, they got their own mascot platformer in Blinks, until that fizzled, but that's beside the point. Despite all this, the Xbox fell short in Japan. Then the 360 generation came, and everything changed for a bit. Microsoft made some changes when making the Xbox 360. The two big ones were the design of the console, which had a more appealing look to the Japanese eye versus the America-looking beast of the previous one thanks to its Japanese engineer, and they got more Japanese developers involved to appeal to Japanese audiences' interest. This meant more JRPGs like Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon, more shmups, date sims, other big Japanese franchises like Katamari, Ace Combat, and Ridge Racer had exclusive entries on the 360. I just realized all three of those are Namco franchises, and other Japanese exclusive releases there. The re-release of No More Heroes got ported to the 360 in Japan. Virtuon Oratorio Tanagram got a 360 port in Japan, and to quote Adam Koralik, it was the spiritual successor of the Japanese iteration of the Sega Saturn. Keep in mind, the Saturn was more successful in Japan, and it's no surprise the 360 was successful in Japan at this point. Tecmo was even still doing their thing with Dead or Alive 4, Dead or Alive Xtreme 2, and Ninja Gaiden 2. Then guess who came in with a metaphorical sledgehammer and busted in the kneecaps in the Japanese 360 market worse than Annie Wilkes did to Paul Sheldon in Misery? Don frickin' Matrick. To say this man caused irreparable damage to the Xbox brand that is still being felt even 11 years after E3 2013 would be the biggest understatement in the history of gaming. But before that, you could already sense a bad omen of things to come. You see, not long after he became a senior VP at Microsoft for the 360 and PC gaming side, Microsoft US was curious about the Japanese side of things. After a presentation, assumably Matrick did have some hand in what happened next. The US side didn't understand the Japanese side, and they freaked out. They panicked, if you will. It was panic time, and they made it more difficult to make the kinds of games that appealed to Japan. Essentially, they forced the Western stuff like COD and Madden instead of keeping what worked for the Japanese side. Microsoft basically alienated every Japanese developer at that point, and with the exception of franchises like Resident Evil and Dead or Alive getting multiports, the Xbox brand was effectively dead in Japan. Was that gonna stop Koei Tecmo? Hell no. Development for DOA X3 started back in 2013. However, things were being worked on at a slower rate due to updated versions of Ninja Gaiden 3 and Dead or Alive 5 in the works around the same time. Then head of Team Ninja, Yosuke Hayashi, said he was hesitant to make the game due to underwhelming sales of DOA X2, but he would do it if the fans wanted it. The title was trademarked on May 2nd, 2014. Then, at DOA Festival 2015 in August, Hayashi gave one of the most obvious hints about it happening ever. 1 week later, the game was officially revealed in Famitsu. The game was set to have serious graphical improvements, and the PS4 version would get a VR mode. However, there was one key thing in the announcement. The game was only planned for Asian markets. Fans weren't too happy about this, but Hayashi did say if there was enough demand, they would do an adjusted version for Western markets. I'm scared to know what that would have entailed if it happened. But it didn't. On November 24, 2015, Koei Tecmo said that they would not release the game outside of Asian territories. Fans were furious. When asked about this, the official page responded, "Do you know many issues happening in video game industry with regard to how to treat female in video game industry? We do not want to talk those things here, but certainly we have gone through in last year or two to come to our decision. Thank you." Which is basically broken English code word for we're too scared to release our game in American territories and European territories by association, thanks to a group of people who not only have no idea what they're talking about. Seriously, some of you make a big deal about a game where women in bikinis have fun on an island. I think you need to take a further look at your priorities in life. But even if we appeal to them, they still wouldn't buy the game. Between this and the sales of the franchise prior, 1.04 million copies across all 3 games, including DOA Paradise on the PSP, people sure were up in arms as to why this third entry in this franchise didn't get a North American/European release. I should mention across the 3 territories, the series sold the best, ironically, in North America. 0.36 million versus 0.14 million for the first game, 0.15 million versus 0.06 million for the second, and 0.08 versus 0.07 million for Paradise. The second number for each of these represents Japan sales, and the first represents North American sales. So, yeah. Not to mention, the petition that garnered support at this time, and the developer of Honey Pop offered to buy the distribution rights for DOA X3 for
$1 million.
They should have taken the offer. In spite of all this shit, Dead or Alive Xtreme 3 released on time on March 24th, 2016 for the PlayStation 4 and Vita. These versions were subtitled Fortune and Venus, respectively. 3 years later, an updated port for the PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch, subtitled Scarlet, was released on March 20th, 2019. A Switch port was not actually surprising, seeing as how Koei Tecmo had a strong Nintendo relationship with the likes of Hyrule Warriors, Fire Emblem Warriors, DOA Dimensions on the 3DS, and Metroid Other M. Yeah. I'm going to be getting gameplay from the Switch version because 1, I need more games for this thing, and 2, the Switch version is actually the more complete or uncensored version. Yeah, ever since Sony started moving out of Japan and putting PlayStation headquarters in California, they started not taking kindly to fan service games made in Japan, and this one sadly got caught in the crossfire. 2 specific items, the Gold Fan for Win and the Softening Gel, were removed in Scarlet on PS4, but Fortune still had these items. Though there are other technical differences between the 2 versions, and I'll try to point out what I can here as we go through them. Even though you have to import, all Asian versions, excluding Japan, have English text options depending on your console settings. Later Japanese versions might have these options, but check before you buy. There are 2 modes of play in DOA X3. You have the main mode of the game, and you have Owner Paradise mode. We'll get into the latter later on. The main mode starts off with Zack reminding us of the first 2 times this has happened. He had a hell of an island to party on, and then a volcano took it all away. But that didn't stop him. New Zack Island, or isn't it New Zack Island? New squared Zack Island? Whatever. The island has been reborn. No crazy story to show how it came to be. But Zack is unfortunately away on other business. As a result, he puts us, the player, in charge. Or at least me for this run since it's my footage. When you play, you take over. We then get to the roster selection and already there's a problem. Can you see what it is? I'll tell you, there are missing DOA girls. The first two games had every playable female character on the roster up to that specific point when that game was released. DOA Xtreme Beach Volleyball had every female up to DOA 3, and Dead or Alive Extreme 2 had every female up to Dead or Alive 4. But for some reason, they decided less is more when making the roster here. It's not. Part of the appeal of these games, at least I think so, or at least I thought, was being able to select your favorite DOA girl to play with. I'm not going to bring up guest characters who were in the mainline entry since licensing reasons wouldn't have allowed them to show, only DOA originals. So let's get this out of the way. Tina, Christy, and Lisa do not return. It's especially baffling for Lisa since she was essentially introduced in the original DOA XBV. Lei Feng did not appear in the original game, but did appear in Scarlet. Now for characters introduced in DOA 5 and its upgrades since it was the latest in the series at the time. Mila, nowhere to be found. Rachel, also nowhere to be found. But I give that one a pass since she's more of a Ninja Gaiden character. Base 4, a clone, so that's understandable why she's absent. The new characters that made the cut were Marie Rose, Hononoka, I mean those two were a given to be honest, Neo Tengu, who's not even fully human, but whatever, Momiji, who's also more of a Ninja Gaiden original, making her debut in the DS Ninja Gaiden game, but I guess gained a more prominent role with DOA starting with the 6th game. And Misaki. Who? Someone who appeared in the PC version's Venus Vacation, which is not a direct one-to-one port of this game, and anyone else not mentioned returns. Honestly, while I do think the roster has some good choices, losing some characters feels like a few steps backwards. Also, Neo Tengu feels like a stretch, and my guess as to why the roster is the way it is, probably from the fact that it was only released in Asian territories. Still doesn't mean I have to fully like this decision. Anyway, select your girl and you're off. Each girl is there for a reason like the last game, and there's a short cutscene with them kind of explaining at the start. Kasumi is there because her fortune led her there. Momiji got an invite from someone she thought was Hayabusa. Hitomi goes to take a break. Well, I guess you can say she didn't get fooled again. Helena got an invite from Zack. Marie Rose got further invited by Helena to come along. Hononoka won a free trip from a raffle that was probably designed for her to win anyways. Neo Tengu and Kokoro just wanted a vacation. Ayane was sent by the clan to find Kasumi, and Misaki and Lei Feng also just want a vacation. After the cutscene, you are given a random girl to pair up with. You can accept or reject. You may as well pair up right away or you won't be able to play volleyball. It's odd how it will just give you a random one, and not one based on who's friends with, well, who. Like, you can select Hononoka, for example, and instead get Kokoro instead of Marie Rose. I guess that would be too obvious, but still, you gotta give the people what they want. In any case, the game begins proper. The structure is set up the same as the previous two games. You'll get 14 days. Each day has morning, afternoon, and evening, and you get one activity per time slot. You have 6 activities here, and when the night hits, you retire to your hotel room to relax. You only get one suite to stay in, though, for the whole time, unlike the last game where you could select which suite you wanted. Though you can actually view your girl relaxing on her bed, which I guess is a nice improvement in everything. You can go to the casino at night, or you can just go to bed till the next day hits. Lather, rinse, repeat until day 14 hits, and you're done. If you played any one of the last 2 DOAX games, you'll pick up on this right away, and anyone who hasn't will adapt very quickly. Zack of all trades returns as the odds ends gift shop, which is especially useful for gift giving. Sports shop also returns for buying bikinis, volleyballs, and the like. But the accessory shop is gone, and you can no longer buy hats and sunglasses and the like, which sucks. You can buy suntan lotion and the like from the sports shop, though. in addition to gels, liquids, oils, and other special lotions that have some unique effects. Oh, and natural milk is an option because reasons. I don't know, you figure it out. Oh, and now you have to buy the ability to wear your favorite girl's hair down. Something you used to be able to do from the start. Why? It's not like it's hard to get money, it's the principle of it all. Back to the activities. Volleyball, pool hopping, which you can now once again play by yourself like in Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball, tug of war, butt battle, and beach flags all returned from the last game. They all pretty much function the same, though the buttons on the pads in pool hopping will be modified depending on which version you play. It still is the same game regardless. You also don't have to get tickets for the ones that needed it in the last game, they're just ready from the get-go. Volleyball, though, does seem to have a bit more of a dynamic camera for serving, but other than that, it's the same deal as before. Two activities actually were removed. The water slide, which, quite frankly, I'm actually glad because I never wanted or ever liked it because it was too hard. But the jet ski racing game has been removed. Honestly, this hurts because it was actually very fun to play, and it gave you an additional mode to play if either you weren't good at volleyball or keeping a partner or whatever. It was fun, and removing it feels like we're moving backwards. It's not like you had to fully remake it or something. So, just suffer through some of the other games again and barely win money since one of the easier ones is gone? Well, actually, no. You may notice now there is either easy or normal when you highlight a game to play in the menu. I haven't seen hard yet, but I'm assuming it's lurking in there. This is actually a difficulty indicator. That's right, there are now difficulty modes for tug of war, butt battle, beach flags, pool hopping, and volleyball. I actually very much appreciate this, since in some instances of the more difficult games like butt battle, you'll no longer get blown out most of the time. The difficulty does seem to adjust depending on how well or poorly you do. There is one new game that isn't affected by this new mechanic, and that's rock climbing. You push the corresponding button as it appears, and your character will keep climbing until they reach the top. Do it quickly enough, and you can get a bonus. This isn't really all that exciting. It seems impossible to fail, and the button icons seem tied to the camera, and the wrong angle, it can really be hard to make them out. They should have just kept jet ski racing instead of this, but hey, easy money. The casino is pretty much unchanged from the last game. Poker, blackjack, and roulette return, and they all function the same way as they did before. Actually, wait, there are no slot machines this time around, though. So again, it feels like a step backwards. But hey, it still works. That's pretty much the main side, but there is another side to the game. Owner mode. At any point during the main game, you can switch over to the owner mode at the press of a button. This mode lets you just observe the actions of the girls. You can take pictures, give gifts, which you can already do with the other girls in the normal mode, and it functions like it did in the last game. Online manuals/guides are your best bet for finding who likes what, and you'll pretty much be completing missions. Well, you'll complete missions in both modes, but in owner mode it's especially important. These missions, in addition to the casino, are the only way to earn money to buy gifts and the like in owner mode. Both money pools between owner and girl are separate, and some of the nicer swimsuits can only be bought by owners to be gifted. Here, though, you can either use Zack dollars or premium tickets. The latter, you buy with real money. Yep, even this series couldn't get away from the microtransaction nonsense. At least it's just a cosmetic? Even then, it's the idea that, well, only the special ones have really outrageous prices, and some of them are time limited, so yeah. I don't know how often they rotate in and out or whatever, but yeah. Most of the normal swimsuits bought in owner mode are reasonably priced, though. You can also buy postcards to gift the girls, and they'll adapt the pose for a bit. You can't take pictures, though, just watch. Oh wait, I realize. We'll actually take the postcard thing and come back to it later. I promise. As you complete missions, you'll earn XP, and that will level your owner up. Your owner level. And doing girl mode missions will level up their excitement. You'll get more postcards and other items to buy at the owner shop. Owners also have Photo Paradise mode, where the girls can have their pictures taken of them. When you gift them the postcard, they learn and then they can use it from then on. Girls can also buy them at the sports shop. You'll have to get certain girls' excitement levels up to unlock some. And yeah, types will also increase our owner level in girls' excitement. See, after you complete one playthrough, you'll get an overview of how you did as owner. And if you keep your girl's excitement level up, you can get more bonus Zack dollars and experience at the end. This will carry over into your next vacation. Owner Paradise mode actually has a few sub-modes. You have Photo Paradise, where you select a girl pose, where and what time you want the shoot to be, swimsuit type, and other attributes like tan, wetness, and you're off. You can add as many poses as you want, and yeah. Event Paradise will let you view previous Gravier sections you viewed, and Pictorial Paradise will let you view the relaxation scenes from the main game. But you need to get to owner level 30 and 50 respectively to unlock them, and that can take a while. Honestly, you might just forget about it and just play it like it was the previous two games, which to be fair, there still is a lot of fun in that. Though you might have to keep an eye of other things here, such as girls' excitement stuff and the like. And that's pretty much what the whole package has to offer. Anything else, by the way, I didn't mention, you'll pick up on later as you play it here, or it just may remain hidden. For what started out as a simple concept, it became seemingly complex by this point. It's only really because of the new additions. The main stuff ported over from the last game functions the same, and it's good. Sadly, there is no multiplayer. No local multiplayer, no online multiplayer. Again, variety really is the spice of life. Oh well, and if you get the satisfaction level of your girl up by giving gifts and doing activities that increase it in addition to missions, you can get a special ending. Roll credits after. If you don't get the special cutscene when you end, still roll credits. The controls are also identical to the previous game, and they work just like they should. Actually, I think there have been some improvements. Response time for button input is actually improved. This does make certain games that use button mashing, mainly beach flags, a bit easier. This also helps with improvements to the other minigame, and it helps keep the most important part of the game, volleyball, as tight as it was in the past games. This especially helps so you don't feel like you can't win because the AI would whoop you. Or maybe it was my 316 controller that needed to be restored. I don't know. The rock climbing game's controls are very much simple and to a T. It's simply hit the button or buttons that appear on screen, and that's it. Menu controls work as they should, so it's easy to navigate. This is especially useful for casinos and owner mode and the like. Everything that was brought over from the last game functions as it should, though I still have trouble getting used to the camera controls when taking pictures, but that's just me. The controls overall are pretty good. I should mention that the Switch port supports HD Rumble, which can provide various levels of haptic feedback during certain activities. This helps increase immersion, but you will need to unlock it by increasing owner level and by the soft sensor. Okay, locking features like this is really not cool. The PS4 version isn't safe from this either. Both PS4 versions of DOA X3 have PSVR support, but you need the VR passport to get it. But then again, if you get Scarlet on PS4, you don't get the Jet Black fan, Gold fan, and softening gel, so pick your loss. In terms of graphics, I think both versions equally hold their own. The PS4 version has the edge from a technical standpoint. Both PS4 versions of the game run at a full 1080p 60 frames per second. The Switch version only runs at 30 FPS, and in docked mode, it's 900p. I'm not joking. We've gone back to the days of PS4 and Xbox One games not running at full HD, ladies and gentlemen. Handheld mode runs at 720p, but this is more excusable. Still, this doesn't really have much of an impact on how the game looks. It still looks damn good. The models really shine. Both versions use a variation of the soft engine. The soft engine itself is designed to make skin look smooth and soft as ever, and it had just the right amount of jiggles in all the right places. The PS4 version uses Soft Engine 2.0, so it has the edge here. The Switch version only uses the 1.0 version of the Soft Engine, and it combines it with HD Rumble to create Soft 4D. So you lose some visual prowess for the Switch, but you get more immersion thanks to the Rumble. Pick whichever fits you best, I guess. Either way, the models really shine across both versions, figuratively and literally. They're well designed, the skin looks more natural and soft and smooth, the curves are well implemented. and the models are just very pretty to look at. Details galore, my friends. The effects of tanning and wetness on them especially shine thanks to the soft engine. The tan line system returns from the last game and works as it should. There's also a new sun tanning system. Let's just say by the end of the vacation, the girls will actually look like they got some sun. And it's the little details like that that can make a serious difference. There is also now a swimsuit malfunction system. If you select a swimsuit that has the malfunction notice, then if you play a certain game like Butt Battle, you can actually see the straps of a swimsuit fall off of a girl as you keep going in the pool. It's actually hilarious to see a girl win a pool game after going in twice and being oblivious to the strap just hanging there like it ain't no thing. Sometimes, though, if you lose, you'll see your girl trying to hold up her swimsuit from revealing the stuff the ratings organizations don't want you to see. The physics of these are fine. Hair physics, though, these are only slightly improved, but you probably won't notice that much anyways. Environments also look pretty good. Objects like huts, trees, rocks, the pool, and everywhere all look pretty good with little to no aliasing and plenty of polygons for strong details. The water looks inviting to swim in, the sand looks soft, and everything is not only easy on the eyes, the ambience is always nailed. This also counts for the casino and hotel room. That's something I think that tends to get forgotten about with modern games. You can have the most detailed game in the world, but if you don't have the ambience, you can't get immersed properly. Luckily, DOA X3 succeeds on this front. The sound is also pretty good for the most part. You'll probably hear many familiar sound effects from the last games. Menu sounds, volleyball hitting sounds, both in the air and on the ground, running sounds, splashing sounds, and just about every sound you can think of for this type of game. It really enhances the mood, ambience, immersion, and just about everything that can be enhanced by good sound design. I don't have much to say here without sounding like a broken record, but I do have a lot to say about the in-game music. Unlike the last two games, which had a full licensed soundtrack, this game doesn't have any licensed music in it. No, instead we get songs that would fit the ambience and sound more like one-hit wonders from the late 90s and early 2000s. Lost ones of that sound like the real deal but aren't. This is actually similar to how Metropolis Street Racer did its soundtrack, and while both fit the job, I think MSR's soundtrack has the edge here, mainly because that was the first before Project Gotham Racing introduced licensed music. So it's like an upgrade. Here, it's like downgrading. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I actually miss the licensed music from the previous two games. It was really the cherry on top here, hearing your favorite Bewitch, Sweet Female Attitude, Real Big Fish, Baja Man, or insert X song here in the game as you just relax, play volleyball, or do whatever in the game. There are certain songs people associate with these games. Mage's How Crazy Are You is the intro theme. George Duke, rest in peace, and his song Brazilian Sugar in the Casino, and Bob Marley's Is This Love is the credits theme. Imagine Tony Hawk Pro Skater without Goldfinger's Superman, or Crazy Taxi without Offspring and Bad Religion, but instead imitators. That's what we got here. A cherry, but not the cherry on top of a delicious sundae. Oh, and if you think you could use custom soundtrack support in-game to get around this, sorry, that's not an option in any version of DOA X3. Better break out those YouTube Music and Spotify playlists then, because that's the only way you're getting the cherry, my friends. Voice acting is only in Japanese since it was an Asian-only release, but it works and sounds fine. And any longtime DOA fans are probably used to it by now. With how much there is to explore, there's quite a bit of replayability, much like the last game, and one can spend a ridiculous amount of time just gathering every swimsuit, unlocking a lot of content, and yeah, it may seem to get a bit grind heavy at times, but once you get a rhythm, it's fine. Just don't tire yourself out playing the game. Going into Dead or Alive Xtreme 3, I was expecting something about a few steps back from the last games. While that was true in some aspects, I was actually pleasantly surprised to find that much of the same fun from the past couple games managed to stay intact. It looks pretty good, sounds pretty good, controls well, has plenty of replayability to keep you coming back, and it has many improvements that fix some of the issues I had with getting whooped on certain minigames in the last game. The owner mode is also a nice addition that adds some stuff that wasn't there in the previous games. However, the full roster of DOA girls isn't there, which feels like a step backward. The removal of the jet ski minigame and, well, slot machines from the casino feels like a step back. The rock climbing minigame, while not bad, is kind of boring. The addition of premium tickets and limited time swimsuits in Owner's Shop feels not good because microtransactions suck. The game can feel a bit overwhelming with how much it offers, and the fact that it didn't get a foreign release is just sad. Remember when Edegaki and company gave no fucks and just did it anyways, the first couple games because they were fun? Yeah, new Team Ninja slash Koei Tecmo has determined Asians can have fun this way, us foreign plebs can't. Okay, that's not true. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to import it. I just needed to get that off my chest. If you're a diehard DOA fan and you still haven't played this, Play Asia or wherever you get fine imported games are your friend. I would personally go with the Switch version on the basis of being the almost complete version, sans the VR mode, but that's understandable. But if you don't have a Switch, the PS4 version will suffice, I guess. Anyone who hasn't played any of these games, you can start with this one if you want. You'll still be in for a good time. I give Dead or Alive Xtreme 3 a 4 out of 5. And with that, another sub-series in the bag. Vacation time over, back to the normal grind.
Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, click the big red button below to subscribe. Check out the other links in the description for more cool stuff. And check out the playlist on screen for more content. See you in the next video.